Good morning, book lovers. We are now live, and of course, I am having my cup of coffee. I don't know, Mom Charity, what do you have today? I have my cup of coffee today. I always get at times a cup of tea coffee, and of course, I before I get my cup of tea coffee, I get some water first for the digestion. And welcoming all our book lovers and those who are going to be with us after this. Also, I want to say you're welcome. I was told some time ago that readers make good leaders. Good morning, ma'am. Charity, how are you today?
Good morning, Vera. I'm very well, and I hope you slept well too.
I slept
It
well,
is a
very
hot.
short, but very well. Thank you. I hope you too.
Thank you.
We are having the book today. We have been reading the past weeks different books from different authors, and today we are reading the book, or we have read the book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakhiani. How do you pronounce it, Ma'am Charity?
The name is Vishen Lakhiani. And
Vishen Lakhiani. That's
yes,
so always important to know how to pronounce people's names, right?
yes.
hmm So today I read this book and I was so fascinated, even in his lifestyle, how he challenged authority, not really authority, but his daring attitude. And we are living in a foreign country, and I'm thinking at times. mm, how challenging it could be for most of us and how important questions could be, and especially when we are growing and want to impact in life, how important questions could be. Man Charity, what have you learned from the book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind? What touched you there particularly?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Vera, for having me on your program today. And it's good, and I welcome everybody who is with us, who will be joining us. And Vishen Lakhiani, just to give a little bit of a background, he is the CEO of Mind Valley. Mind Valley is a platform where it's mainly they teach about everything, the well-being of human beings. It's a very big platform, Mind Valley, and we'll be talking about it later. But the code of the extraordinary mind, what I got out of this book, it's an extraordinary book. The book is actually meant to turn you into an extraordinary person.
Mm-hmm.
Very huge book, very
Mm-hmm.
many pages, very many interviews, but the main thing, it is a blueprint.
Yeah.
It is a blueprint to learn about the question of how to be a creative mind, and not
Mm-hmm.
only a creative mind, to turn your mind into extraordinary, to
Mm-hmm.
turn you into a fully fledged human being. But from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the book, what is most interesting and what every single reader learns is that he says you either love his book or hate his book. And
Oh
let me
yes.
tell you why.
Oh yes, I think that, I mean, and he uses some terms, some words, and I'm like, but what fascinates me is the story he tells of his 9 year old as a young guy when he was 9 years old. So you can see that he is really an extraordinary person, and that means that we all could be extraordinary if we just dare to ask some questions and if we dare to do some things. mm, that he did. He comes from the background where they were not supposed to eat beef. And he mentioned the fact that when the McDonald came to their area, so he started questioning his mother, wait a minute, so tell me, why don't we eat beef? And that was 9 years now. And his mother said, yeah, then go research about it. And when he researched, he came back and then realized that actually it is because of nothing serious. It's just because of tradition and stories that have been told over and over and over. So I learned a whole lot of deal. I think the first time when I read the book, it confirmed my my approach of things, and I always knew, I always dared to ask questions, and many people really got a whole lot of challenge with this, because at times they think you just want to um, to challenge authority. But the moment you start really rethinking, this is being actually also critical thinker, right? And we all got to be to this at that point where we really start thinking critically. Okay, you already started saying a lot about him. So let's go dive deep into the program. So how can we hack our minds? Now that you have been reading it, and I'm sure you understand what it means to be extraordinary. What is he saying? How do we hack our minds to become extraordinary?
Okay, one of the ways he says about hacking our minds to be extraordinary is he talks about that there is, just like you mentioned, there, we live where there is the real truth and there is relative truth. He tries to differentiate that from the very beginning, and he says
Mm-hmm,
that with the real truth is like saying this is an apple. We all agree with that. That is a truth. This is a rock. It's a hard rock. We all
mm-hmm,
agree with that. But there are other truths which are beliefs, and
mm-hmm,
he talks about their beliefs. There are things that we have been taught. He talks about the gender issue, for example, the truths, the things that a woman must do this and a man must do this. But
mm-hmm,
really, are those truths what we have been taught, that this is the job of a woman, or this is the job of a man, this is the role of
mm-hmm,
a man, and this is the role of a woman. So the whole idea is, he says, this relative truth is actually what we should be questioning,
mm-hmm,
and then you apply it according to what you know. And he says you should go out of your way to be extra, to move that extra mile, to do what that which agrees with you. He gives
mm-hmm,
examples all throughout with his own life, and he talks about
mm-hmm.
the time he himself was a computer expert. He talks about
Yes,
his life.
yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm,
he has moved on. He was a computer expert. He met people like Bill
mm-hmm.
Gates. He approached
Yeah.
them. He went through very many failures, about three kind of failures where people even stole his money, people he trusted very much, people who are partners in his business. But every time he fell down, he came up again. So he said, this falling down, he realized that every time you fall down, actually this is supposed to be your path, and this path is not supposed to make you fall down. It's supposed to uplift you, and not. And it's the time when you're supposed to set your own rules, what he calls the BR rules. And for
Mm-hmm.
the sake of this program, I think we are not going to mention some of the words. Actually, he creates
Yes.
his words, and these rules are what he says have program. He has hacked his life in such a way that he set up his own rules. And we are going to be talking about every single one, most of these rules that he set up.
Let's talk about those rules. I just like this rules thing, because I'm also one of those that, I think
Mm,
my phone is echoing. I'm also one of those that say, hey, laws and principles, I may not have to challenge them or ask them, like
yes,
the principle of the gravity, right?
yes,
If you
yes,
go up the mountain,
yes,
right, you pull yourself down, you're not careful, you will die, right? Because all that goes up comes down, right?
yes,
So there are
yes,
principles in life that you do not even, I don't know what to question it. They're like the principle of you reap what you sow. Some people
yes,
say the karma principle, or the
yes,
law of karma, but we call it that the principle of you reap what you sow, right? And then others, there are many principles in the in be it spiritually or just naturally, that
mm,
you will not question. But rules,
mm,
the rules could be questioned now, and rules are those norms that a society has built, a community, a family,
mm,
for maybe guidance, for maybe the sake of protection. I remember those days when I was still a young girl, and my dad would always say, "Don't come home late. 6 p.m. Everyone must be home."
Yeah.
Right? And with my mind of always asking questions, then I asked my dad, "Dad, why should we be at home at 6 p.m.
Mhm.
latest?" And
Mhm.
my dad said, "Because I said so." Then I
Mhm.
looked at my dad. I said, "My dad, that's no answer. Because you
Mhm.
said so, it's not meeting that thing within me that wants to know why, the why, wants to
Mhm.
understand the why." So somehow
Yeah.
my mind always wanted to understand the why, right?
Mhm.
So, because I want to fit that why,
Mhm.
when I'll be at home the whole time because I wasn't the type that will even go out. I'm very
Mhm.
introvert actually. Before
Mhm.
people think I'm extrovert, I'm very introvert.
Yeah.
And so I'll just wait at 6 o'clock. Then I just get out of the gate, and then
Yeah.
just go around the gate. And
Yeah.
then when it's 6:30, I get back in. You know, just
Yeah.
to ask him so that he understands. He has to explain to
Mm.
me the
Mm.
why of his decision.
Yeah.
And he will still happily explain it. So
Mm.
and those are some of those rules that, okay, it's not like if it is a law that God actually spiritual and natural consequences. And with such rules, you
Mm.
can actually ask a question. But wait a minute, I just want to understand the system behind your why. So
Mm.
let's talk about the rules. And today when I look at, I have also two kids, and I'm like, at times I remember the story of my dad. And so when my kids come to me ask questions, I have to get an answer. I may
Yes.
not have an answer to everything, but I don't just answer like because it's like that, because it will never satisfy the curiosity of a creative mind, right? What do
Yes.
you think? Let's talk about the rules.
We talk about the rules. I want to, just like Vishen, I want to talk about the rule of education.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the education. He says, just because and I was looking, because I don't like sometimes to put the words into somebody's mouth. I like saying it just like he said it. He
And
said,
that's very good.
yeah, he said humanity is flying away under its full potential simply because we do not educate for the whole or the complete human being.
Mm-hmm.
He says we educate for just a small part, a
Mm-hmm.
slice, a
Mm-hmm.
fragment, for just what's possible for us.
Mm-hmm.
And he says none of our education systems teach any of that. We do not educate the whole human one of children. We educate 1/10, and even
Mm-hmm.
grown-ups. So
Mm-hmm.
I just remembered something that when we were learning, when we had our school systems, I thought about our school systems
Mm-hmm.
a lot. The way we cover so many subjects, but we leave out the subject of teaching children how to be
Mm-hmm.
confident.
Mm-hmm.
Why is sport so important? The healthy
Mm-hmm.
methods of eating. The basic things which we start learning when we are so old, instead of having
Mm-hmm.
taught all these systems really as the main subjects. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and I remembered that about the careers, there is this career where parents, some of them still do it, where they really push you to do particular subjects. Your parent wants you to be a lawyer. He talks about
Mm-hmm.
this thing like wants you to be a doctor, wants to be
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give you the time, doesn't let you allow you to be who you are meant to be. You also
Mm-hmm.
want to be something to please the society and to look.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, he talks about why most people are so miserable later on
Mm-hmm.
and why the illnesses come on.
Mm-hmm.
I just remembered when I finished my university, I really wanted to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really counseled me and said, okay, even you can be a lecturer because I did literature and I really wanted
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And everybody pushed me to choose, be a banker, go into the insurance field and
Mm-hmm.
that.
Money, money.
Yes, money was the idea and the status. And actually, I was pushed. I was very young when I finished. I was in my around 21, 22 there. And I went into the insurance field, very good job, very well paid and everything. But I had not been taught how to handle money,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. And, and
Money
this,
intelligence.
yeah. And teaching has always been what is in my blood until right now, and it's only right now that I'm starting to do it, even with my with the vlogging and the writing and blogging and like what we are doing, talking and teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And this really affected my life. So I later vowed to myself that once the children finish like Form 4,
Mm-hmm.
before you decide whether you want to go to university, the basic like
Mm-hmm.
primary and
Yeah.
until you're around 18 or 16,
Mm-hmm.
17, 18 there, I allow them to choose. Do you want to go to higher
Yes.
education or you don't want? Do
Yes.
you want to do
Mm-hmm.
training as a saloonist, or do you want
Yes.
to go into football, or do you want to go into anything? Because that
Mm-hmm.
way a person is able to live a better, fuller life,
That's
because
true.
they are freer. It resonates with their heart and their
That's right.
heart's desires. Yeah.
Hmm. This
Yes.
takes me to telling you my story. I was a young girl at the age of I think I was 10 years old when I was going to Form 1. Now that you talk about the forms, we
Mm.
also have it in Cameroon.
Yeah.
And one good Sunday, one day, I sat in my class and a light just came onto me. I had the impression that the sun was just shining towards my direction, and I had three words, and those were professional words. The first one was the lawyer, barrister. The second one was a journalist, and the third one was a pedagogy. And
Mm.
these words, pedagogy, I had never heard it in Cameroon, but at least I heard lawyer, and I
Mm.
heard what do they call it, journalist. So
Yeah.
I knew from that day, and in my family we had no lawyers, we had uh, no journalists. So I knew from that day
Mm-hmm.
those were my assignments.
Mm-hmm.
So from that moment, I was 10 years old. And in those days when we went going to school, the teachers will be beating you, students. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and I hated this kind of way of living, this beating and all that. So when this teacher came one day and he wanted to beat me, I told him, no, I will leave your class. That was a biology teacher. I said, I will leave your class. I prefer to leave your class and never come in again because, by the way, I will not need that for journalism or for my law or
Yeah.
again for pedagogy, right? So I was so confident. And I mean, I didn't have I didn't have to get any mentor for that. I was just so confident. Okay, if these are my three professions, then I don't need any other extra things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but when I got to Germany, oh, life became funny because you actually get to meet some things that you cannot comprehend. And
Yeah.
I went through some processes, and people told me you have to do, like you said, Wirtschaft Informatik.
Yeah.
I went to class of Wirtschaft Informatik half day. I can never forget half day because I didn't really let the day go to the end. And this fine professor was teaching, and I was just seeing some light shining while he was teaching, and he was talking. I left the class at midday. I went to the secretary, and I told the secretary, I think I am sick. I need a break from school. That was the first day I went to school,
Yeah.
first day at the university. And the secretary asked me, what do you mean? I said, no, I think that I'm not normal because if at the age of 10 years, I knew exactly what I would do and I would become. It was so clear. My life choices became, I was directing always in that light. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm in a land of opportunities. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to study virtual informatics. What has that got to do with law? What has that got to do with journalism? And what has that got to do with pedagogy? I
Yeah.
said, no, no, and definitely she let me go. And when I went back now
Yeah.
I took that semester free to really find out what is my calling.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I, and what is my calling? What am I called to do? What
Mm-hmm.
am I? So I reflected again, and then I knew exactly my entire existence is the fact that I have to be like the tree, and to give water, root, sustain people so that they can be able to become the best version of themselves. So then I went back to that woman. I said, you know what? I want at the end of, no matter what I study, I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to help people, guide people, lead people,
Yeah.
direct people. So what should I study? And that's
Yes.
when she said you can do social pedagogy and social. So it came back again to one of those things, And today, here we are, and we're almost doing
Yes.
like journalism. And I did, of course, law also back home, but I just wanted to come to the fact that we really have to let the children. It is
Yes.
not what you study that makes you fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
It is your calling in life and your purpose. If we do not understand this, we are going to be making our kids, our children, and even generations to come not
Mm-hmm.
really fulfill the purpose for which they have been sent here on earth. And we all are here for a particular time. And like Miles Monroe used to say, we should not let the grave
Mm-hmm.
uh, accept or let the grave carry that which
Yes.
it was not supposed to carry. We must get into the grave empty so that the grave doesn't rejoice over us. So I just wanted to confirm that we have to rethink differently and really stay. And West is, what you study even in school, you don't even use 5% of that in your
Yes. Can you
first.
imagine?
And the worst thing is the things you really need, you don't have it in school. Let's talk about business. Every Sunday we have the business conversation. Those
Mm-hmm.
conversations you can't have it in the school books.
Yes, you can't have them in. He talks about that. You don't have these things in the school book. Like, for
No.
example, Vera, do you know he talks about intuition?
Mm-hmm.
And intuition, for those who do not know, intuition, everybody has it. It's that gut feeling that you always feel this is the right thing. And I remember journalism, I really wanted to do journalism. And
Mm-hmm.
even when during the holidays, I remember one time going to the Voice of Kenya. That was our broadcasting. It was the main broadcasting place. And I remember actually going there. I've always looked for jobs during the holidays from as long as I can remember. And
Mm-hmm.
I went to journal and I did journalism. I remember one of the biggest magazines that I actually went, and it is called Parents. It's a very big
Mm-hmm.
magazine. It's almost like Drum. I don't know whether you had Drum in Cameroon. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually one of the first fully balanced magazines. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
did
we
some.
didn't have that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, parents and all that. And I remember interviewing the first CEO of that company. I was given one
Wow.
person to go and interview, and I was like about 19 or something like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember also going on radio in the radio station and
Mm-hmm.
discussing about on a panel and discussing about polygamy.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then somewhere along the line, because of the whole education system, because the way it compresses you, just because I missed one point, I couldn't do law. Like you, funny enough, we have a lot in common. I wanted to do
Yes.
law. I missed
Mm-hmm.
that by a bit, so I did literature, which was very good. And so eventually I majored in literature, but I didn't follow this line.
Yeah.
And this thing, Vera, really affected me. And I knew by intuition that this is what I am. This is what, and this is now the part which I've really taken in as
Mm-hmm.
part of my program.
Mm-hmm.
Because, sorry, you had asked me earlier, what are the rules? And he said there are three questions that everybody should always ask themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the questions that I think he bases also his life on them. The
Mm-hmm.
first one is, what experiences do you want to live in this lifetime?
Yes.
The second one is, how do you want to grow?
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is, how do you want to contribute?
Mm-hmm.
So I can repeat it again. What experiences do you want to live in this lifetime? How do you want
Mm-hmm.
to grow? And how do you want to contribute? This
Mm-hmm.
is where you decide, I want to be a business person. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be, I want to change society. So, like what you are doing, Vera,
Mm-hmm.
you are some song, there's some porn social service. Yes. Some
It's
home
true.
social service. I am also into some social service group. It's called the Son and Bloom and Community Development Group here in Cologne.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I want to go into media. Yesterday, I had a very important meeting, so we are going to be talking. I'm joining a media group, so I'll be
Mm-hmm.
doing more of media right now and
That's good.
learning from the young people, especially with editing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, your question was about business, isn't it? Eh?
Mm-hmm. we're just talking about the different rules, and then you spoke about the intuition, and you spoke about
Yes.
the three rules that is paramount to Vishen. And I think that it's not only him. The question of what experiences you want to live here, or
Mhm.
how to grow, and how to contribute, and also the questions of lifetime questions. They take us
Yeah.
back again to defining purpose of life, and the reviewing who we truly are. Right. I also wanted to talk about this intuition rule. It is so important for
Mm,
some, for
mm.
spiritual people. They may call it discernment. It's good
Yes.
that we also the spirit of discernment, and
Yeah.
we all have this spirit actually. For the Germans, they say Bauchgefühl, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yes.
you go to, I have, because I employ people, so someone will get into your office in as much as they have all the knowledge, all the
Yeah.
wisdom, all they say I can do this. Your that intuition just tells you this is not the right person,
Yes.
in as
Yes.
much as you want to actually take this
Mm,
person because of their competence, because of
mm.
what they, but somehow something just tells you it's not the right person, you know. And one of my employees, one of my very faithful employees too,
Yeah.
would tell me, Vera, each time you say, after you've employed someone, and you, after 3 4 days, you say, oh, I made a mistake. Definitely, after 2 3 months later, you're going to send the person away, because you realize that actually that intuition guided you, but you only did not follow it. You know,
Yes.
because at times you just want um to to um, to think that people with competence, when they make the noise, they are
Yes.
competent. Something about the book is there's something about the book I wanted us to talk. The categories of life. It
Yes.
divides life in 5 categories. I have
Yes.
read this before with the life with another couple too, John Bocha. They also
Yeah.
divide the cat life in 12 categories, and they
Yes.
touch the different categories of life.
Yes.
And what fascinates me is the fact that it's so important to be conscious with these different categories of life.
Yes.
When we are not conscious, we think that life is all, it's just all about the food, the water,
Yes.
the
Yes.
clothing, and then the cars and all that. But when you become very conscious about the
Conscious.
12
Yes.
categories, you
Yes.
say there's health and fitness. So, and when you're falling short on your health and fitness,
Mm.
you realize yourself that okay, you're not really being the best version of your
Mm-hmm.
health and
Mm.
fitness, right?
Yes.
So your the consciousness of living the different categories helps
Mm-hmm.
us to really become the best version of ourselves. He talks about relationships too. He talks
Yes.
about economic, financial education and economics, how to
Yeah.
become to live a life of abundance. He also
Yes.
talks about relationships, but and he divides in relationships the different kinds of relationship,
Mm-hmm.
relationship with children,
Mm-hmm.
relationship with a big family, and the social relationships,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So he talks about this. So it means that in your relationship, you have to always ask the question, am I living in my best version in my relationships, right?
Yes.
So with
Yes.
that consciousness, it helps you to really amen. So no one has to come to tell you, oh, you're not understanding the principles of networking. You already understand because yourself, you have checked yourself, and you
Yes.
realize that you're
Yes.
not really fulfilling in that area.
Mm-hmm.
He also talks about the vision, living in your vision,
Mm-hmm.
or quality of life. He calls that the quality of life. You
Mm.
know, the quality of life. The quality of life
Yes.
entails
Yes.
where you want to live, how you want to
Mm-hmm.
live,
Mm.
what kind of cars you want to ride or drive,
Mm.
what kind of house and space. You know, when you are conscious about the quality of your life, you will
Yes.
not wait for someone to tell you it's good to be in a good quarter,
Mm-hmm.
right? You will not wait someone to tell you. It's good to also dream that you can also have your
Mm-hmm.
own space that is good, that you can arrange it very well, and so on,
Mm-hmm.
because you are living in that consciousness. So, what did you take again from the categories? Because he divided it into five. Vision.
Yes. Divided into five things is because he talks about one of them is about meditation.
Yes.
He says meditation is taking time, and this is what he does in his school. the Mind Valley School is actually a school that allows you even the hours of working. People work and the places of working, they work in some very comfortable places. Like, for example, they have some desks where sometimes you can be your computer, but you are standing. You're working
Mhm.
standing so that your body, you are moving,
Mhm.
exercising, sitting on these couches, which are like round, and they have exercising time. But he talks about everybody taking time to understand themselves.
Mhm.
He actually specifies that. Actually, Vishen Lakhiani isn't saying anything new. It's only that he says it bluntly, very, very directly, but at
Mhm.
the same time, he wants you to live your life consciously.
Yes.
Living your life
Yes.
consciously is very, very important. Is every time being aware of what you're doing, being
Yes.
aware of what you're saying, being aware of how you present yourself, and
Yes.
and so that you may notice any small errors that you make, because he says that the errors are not there to that we by intuition. He said we grow through pain or we grow through insight, but never
Mhm.
through empathy.
Yes.
For example, he
Yes.
said,
That's true.
yes, his life, he went through pain, and everybody goes through pain.
Yes.
Everybody goes through insights. But the question is, most people prefer to just point the pain, but never point the insights,
Mhm.
because everybody gets insights. And you can
Mhm.
get them. There are those aha moments, and you decide, there's something. This thing keeps on cropping up about me
Mhm.
being on media, for example. And then you
Mhm.
realize, I'm actually a media person. And then the next
Mhm.
time you're supposed to realize, I am going to be a media person. You have to take
Choices.
steps on your insights.
Mhm.
Like now, that's the way I'm living my life. I know
Mhm.
that this is where I was supposed to be. So I'm really pushing myself in the right directions, talking to the right people, interacting with the right people. I'm no
Mhm.
longer wasting my time and energy on things that
Mhm.
have nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
Yes,
That's
and this
true.
is the point. You look for the people who
Mhm.
align you, who will make you grow one step
Mhm.
ahead of you,
Mhm.
because that
Mhm.
is the right way to grow. And
Mhm.
in this day and era, you don't have to start from the very ground. You can
No.
start in the middle.
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
And this is why he uses a lot about himself. There are a lot of critics who says he talks too much about himself. But Vera,
Mhm.
if you cannot talk yourself as the example, who are
Mhm.
you going to talk about?
No,
This is
no, there's no
confidence
better example as your own lifestyle,
as your own
actually.
life. And there's no better example as telling people what to be and what to
Mhm.
do, while you
Mhm.
yourself has not done it yourself or have not tried
Mhm.
it yourself. And this
Mhm.
is what I really learned through them. And
Mhm.
and on this point, he talks about gratitude.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Gratitude, that
Mhm.
if you can be grateful, and these
Yeah.
are one of the things that I learned and I copied, and I have been copying, and then I forgot, but I keep on coming back. But these days I'm following it more. When I
Mhm.
wake up every day, my prayer is about gratitude. And
Mhm.
sometimes, if there was no time, I don't have to even kneel. As I'm walking in the kitchen, I'll say, I am grateful for this day. Like right now, I'll say, I'm grateful for the weather. It is 6 o'clock, going to 7 in the morning, and the sun is so bright. I'm grateful for seeing those trees out there. I'm grateful that I'm having this conversation with Vera and
Yes.
all the other listeners. I'm
Mhm.
grateful that we have the internet, that this internet,
Yes.
those who are not awake will be able to get 1 or 2 points from this. And even if they don't get it, at least they can think about Vishen Lakhiani's book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, buy
That
it,
is
read it. You
that
know?
is true. That is true. I think the things that we neglect the most are the
Yes.
things that doesn't really cost us anything. And
Anything.
I have understood by principle that gratitude opens doors to extraordinary lifestyle.
Yes.
Gratitude makes you automatically humble. It's only grateful people that are humble, because
Exactly.
gratitude makes you understand that you can't do all by yourself, right? And you
Yes.
need help. So you
Yes.
can ask for help without being shy, without being ashamed that you'll
Mm.
be bullied, right? It is gratitude that makes you say, I can't do all things by myself. I can depend on the universe. I can depend on God. I can depend. This gratitude opens you new other perspectives and possibilities. And if
Yes.
you add to that with the meditation like he does,
Yes.
and intuition, I think we can really live a life that is good. And another aspect of the meditation, I think meditation, many people really don't understand what that is. And
Yes.
meditation is really a big deal because it is that time that you really are calm, early,
Mhm.
either early in the morning or late in the night, whatever time, in a space whereby you can really do things on your own. You are calm, and then you listen to the right music at the right time, or
Yes.
even you just listen to yourself. And this
Yes.
is always best done for me personally early in the mornings, where I can really get to coordinate my day in my mind. I coordinate
Mm.
my day in my mind. I
Mm.
speak my day in my mind. I see my day manifesting in my mind. And
Mm.
therefore, my gratitude takes place always in the evening, where I
Mm.
get back and I always thank God. Or for some people, it's the universe. For some people, it is the nature. For 10 things money can
Oh,
never
yes. 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 Yes.
10 things money can never buy. So
Yes.
let's hear more about the categories. Tell us more. What have you learned from this book as you are going into? What did you pick out from this book and that inspires you? Because the book club is we read together, we lead together, we inspire one another, and we lead together. So what did you learn from this book club? From this book?
Another thing I learned is what he calls bending reality. That is, this is something actually we all know. This is something even the Bible knows. In the Bible, we have read it when Jesus says you can move a mountain. People have that principle of you can move a mountain, and he talks about our minds influence our reality.
Yes.
So, and he says it is a tricky state that a lot of people are in denial about it because they find it's so much of an exercise to do it because of looking at the circumstances around you. But actually, it is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
If, if for example, we want this program that we are doing, you first of all think about it in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it in your mind, what the thoughts, what is it that you want to portray to the world? Why do you want to portray it? Because it
Mm-hmm.
all comes down what you think in the mind. Why are you doing it? You are
Mm-hmm.
doing it because you want whatever you are doing that out there somewhere, even if it is just a drop in the ocean, it will
Mm-hmm.
be able to make the planet or somebody or something better than it was
That's true.
a few minutes ago.
That's
So
true.
yes, so this goes with leadership. Always have wonder what I am doing right now. How is it going to influence that today somebody somewhere will be one step further away, even if it is just a word like one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like intuition.
Yes.
And also because he talks about forgiveness.
Yes. I was about to come to that.
Forgiveness. We
Please
always
let's
hear
stay on
about
forgiveness.
forgiveness.
Let's talk on forgiveness. Tell
Yes,
us
let's talk
more.
of forgiveness.
Mm,
Yes. Yeah, forgiveness is the part, it doesn't mean that you forget. It
mhm,
just means that you look at whatever happened to you and realize that actually it was not all about you. It was something in life that had to happen so that you can move forward. Like I'm saying, everything influences you to change you one way better. And
that's
sometimes it is a very, very brutal statement I'm about to say, but somebody has to think about it and meditate on it. Sometimes bad things happen to move you forward.
yes.
There is situation like how I came to Germany. I came to Germany because of bad things that happened in my life.
Yes.
And I ran away and came to Germany, although I was married. But
Mm-hmm.
the main force was that my life was not good.
Yes.
And now, when I came back here, isn't that better? My life is better. I
Mm-hmm.
am probably, and I mean, as I came to a place where I have more possibilities to be able to express myself,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and because of this, whoever did what they did to me, I have
Mm-hmm.
forgiven them.
That's
I've
it.
really forgiven them. In fact, I appreciate them.
That's it.
I
And this is
appreciate
the
them.
power.
Yes,
I think
yes, I've forgiven them, really.
many people do not even understand, and
Yes,
it takes us again back
yeah,
to the life of gratitude, takes
mm,
us back to life of meditation.
yes,
How can you meditate actually properly when the within is bitter, when the within is sour, when the within is painful?
yeah,
And I have heard people say they can't forgive, and I'm like, it were like you were taking a drink of
yeah,
a poisoned drink,
yes,
and you're drinking it, and
yeah.
you're expecting that I should die on your behalf, right?
Imagine.
That's what unforgiveness does.
Yeah,
Unforgiveness blocks actually you who is carrying that person in your mind.
it's
So it
true.
doesn't matter who that person is. It could be an oppressor, it could have been a rapist, it would have been in
Yeah,
whatever the person is, or whoever the person was, it doesn't really matter.
mm,
What matters is the fact that you need liberation. You need to be liberated. And
yes,
forgiveness for
mm,
me is that tool. Once you have understood, you don't have time for malice, you don't have time for bearing grudges, and you are living a life of liberty. Because
yes,
unforgiveness puts you into a box and into a bondage, so that
yes,
it takes away even that gratitude nature that would have exposed you to a bigger height. I'm very grateful that the first man that I um wanted to marry me or fiancé me,
yeah,
gifted me, because I'm so convinced that if I was with him, I would not be able to fulfill the purpose
yeah,
of God in my life. You know,
yeah,
so today I can sit back and say, "Oh my goodness, thank God it happened the way it happened." And
yes,
I think that we should learn to understand that all things works together for our interest and for our good. It
yes,
doesn't matter how
yeah,
bad that thing seems to be at this moment, but
yes,
the end matters. And the end is that that thing you're going through is developing in you patience, it's developing in you kindness, it's
yes,
developing in you mercy, it's
yes,
developing in you endurance, it's
yes,
building your muscles of understanding, so
yes,
that when some other person comes to tell me about, "Hmm, my fiance has cheated me," you can tell the person, I know it will be over again.
yes,
And if I didn't go through that experience, I
yes.
can't be able to tell that person,
True.
I know it will be
Exactly.
over again.
Yes, yes. I
So
know.
imagine you are keeping the person in your heart for giving you the chance to be what God said you should be. Can you imagine how detrimental that is?
Yes, imagine not appreciating that whatever is happening, thinking that you are doomed, or thinking that you are born to suffer. You are not
Mhm.
born to suffer. You
No,
are
not
born
at
to blossom. You are born to thrive. And this is where he brings up the other issue, which all this tie together. He thinks he calls them the transcendental practices, self
all.
love,
Yes,
self
self love.
love,
Such a
because
powerful one.
yes, self love is important. I remember for a long time, and this is where he talks about these rules, because there was a time when a lot of people confusing for confusing self love with egoism. Self love means that you love yourself, and because it's only by loving yourself you can be able to extend that love to somebody else. Take care of your health, take care of your thoughts, take care of your physical body, but most of all, take care of your thoughts and your inner person. Because by doing so, you are able to love others. You are
Mm,
able to extend others. You are able to be kind and compassionate to others if you are kind and compassionate to yourself.
that's true.
You are polite to yourself also. A lot of people are very rude to themselves. They are always criticizing themselves in their mind, saying, I'm a hopeless person, I'm a worthless person, oh, I am as poor as a church mouse, such kind of talks.
Mhm.
Talk positive thoughts, because it talks about this
Mhm.
positive visualization. Did
Mhm.
you read about the positive visualization?
Oh yes, Oh yes,
Yes.
it's so important. I think it's so important. Before we get to that positive internalization, let's talk about again the forgiveness. I wanted to come to the aspect of forgiveness,
You.
even on self forgiveness.
Oh yes.
Usually, yes, because usually he didn't mention directly the self forgiveness, but usually,
Yeah.
mm, we tend to think we should forgive only the other person. But
Yes.
I want to think that it is so important to forgive yourself.
Oh
Forgive yourself for your mistakes. No
yes.
one else will do that if you do not do that.
Mhm.
Because if you're not able to forgive yourself for your own mistakes, you will not be able to forgive another person because you think that you are a god, right?
Yes.
And that you are not allowed to make mistakes. That would
Yes.
be a failure, a bad mindset to
Yes.
think that we should not make mistakes. We are going to make mistakes. We are entitled to even make our mistakes because we learn from our mistakes. And
Yes.
therefore, it's so important. Forgive yourself.
Yes.
Forgive yourself for being not achieving the things you wanted to achieve. Forgive
Mhm.
yourself for committing immorality. Forgive yourself for committing adultery. Forgive
Mm.
yourself for doing you raped somebody in the past and it's following your mind now.
Mhm.
Forgive yourself so that you create space to be able to even go and ask for apology and change your lifestyle, because if you can't forgive yourself, you will not be able to live an overcoming life, because the shadows of the past will keep haunting you, and many people are living in that haunting shadow, so that they are unable to forgive themselves. They are unable to really do extraordinary things. That's why they also cannot forgive other people. And so I
Mhm.
just wanted to remind ourselves on that because it's so important. I had a conversation with a lady who told me, "Baby, I just can't forgive myself for the things that I did." And I'm like, what? Yesterday is gone, and you're still living so much in the past. And so, and I said, if yesterday is gone, I do not even remember, and I don't want to remember what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kept it behind. It was yesterday. I learned from it, and now I'm moving forward.
Mm.
Careful for today to see that today I live gratitude, I live in meditation, I live in intuition, I live in forgiveness. And so I forgive the people I have to forgive, I forgive myself, I live in gratitude. God, thank you. What would I have done without you? Because
Yes.
I know I have been here only by the grace of God. And when this habits are there, I don't even care about tomorrow much most of the time. I don't have the time to be worried too much about tomorrow,
Yes.
because I know it will come. So
Yes.
I don't really have the time to be worried, because question is, when you're worried about that past and you're worried about that future, does it add any extra value to it?
Oh
No.
yes, Vera. Yes. Oh yes. He talks about living in the present moments. As long as you appreciate today, you appreciate this moment that you have now. In this, because this moment is so huge, it's so awesome to even be breathing this air at this particular moment. We have to start appreciating the moment and doing the best. One of the ways I forgive myself, which I learned and which it comes in different ways, is to remember that as long as you are doing things consciously, whatever happened in the past, you did not know. You knew that much that time. You did your best the way you knew the best then. Because that you thought you were probably, most people probably later at the time when you are doing some, you are committing some sort of sin. Actually, you don't do it that you think you are committing some sin. You, at that particular time, you think that is the best thing that you are doing, and then later you realize it's not a good thing, and then you forgive yourself, and you don't have to live in a life of shame about it. You have to let go. And if it's a matter of forgiveness, you have to, and you did something wrong to somebody, it is important that you tell the person. Whether they forgive you or not, that's another matter, but in your heart of hearts, in your inner person, you have forgiven the other person, but you then be able to move forward. But that idea of living in the present moments is very, very important. And that is where I think we come back to the point of the positive visualization.
Yes.
because it goes together. If once you forgive, you have cleaned yourself, and now your mind becomes a little bit clear. And then this positive visualization is thinking, where do I want to be in another 3 years? It's
Yes.
always important, and all these things go even with meditation. You have to
Mm,
sit down every single day. What do I want to have finished by the end of today? And
mhm.
at the back of your head, you always have a plan, like for about 3 months, 3 years, the end of the year. At least, even if it doesn't take place, you have moved steps, because whatever you are doing, the end game is to is towards your vision.
Yes.
Like my vision has always been in the education center, like what you are doing. And because of, and that is what I always aim at. Even when I'm blogging, when I am writing, I have this vision that eventually I will go to Kenya, and that is
Mm,
always my hope. And if it will not happen there, maybe it will happen here. Well, have an education system where there is a whole kind of the whole balanced human being.
yes. Wholeness, wholeness,
The
and
wholeness, the
holistic
fullness, yeah.
approach of
Yes,
education. A
yeah.
holistic approach of education when everything is involved.
Everything is involved, and
Where
different changing the hacking the system, the education system. Yeah.
mm,
Hacking the
I
that
got
is my
Clara
dream.
was yeah, and I
Yes,
got
I
Clara
say it
said
loud and clear.
absolutely.
Yes, I
And,
have that vision. Yes.
and the way she said also great. I think she has been online to following us and
Yes.
listening to us. I think
Yeah.
Agatha is a writer, right? She writes a
Yeah.
book too, and
We have co-authored with her two books, The Perfect Migrant
uh,
and Celebrating Diversity. Those
oh,
are two
yeah,
books.
amazing, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. Time always goes too fast. We can't digest all these books and the
Mm.
insight in just an hour. But let's
Okay.
talk maybe one last thing before we close for today. What leadership skills did you get from the book? Because we are saying that book reading readers are leaders. So what leadership skills did you get out of this book?
The leadership skills I got are resilience. Stick,
Resilience.
don't give up. Don't
Mhm,
give up. And that difficult times are opportunities for growth.
mhm,
And
mhm,
pain should not bring you down. That's what I got it. And the
mhm,
ability to see failure as a
mhm.
stepping stone. That's
Wow,
what I can tell
this is a
you.
big
Yes.
one. The
Yes.
ability to see failure as a stepping stone. It's a
Yes.
big one. And it takes us again back to, for me, spirituality, and it's a principle that I live by,
Yeah.
that all things,
Yeah.
all, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what things happen now,
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
only working towards the good plan that
Yes.
God has for me. So it doesn't matter if it's that I got an accident and got the legs cut. It is for a purpose. It's a purpose, learning behind it. It doesn't matter if I was going, I mean, if something just happened terribly, it is for a purpose. So all things, and with that principle in mind, I don't have time to delay and to waste, because if you abuse me today, I said, what am I to learn out of this? So
Yes.
instead of the question, why are you doing that to me? I ask the question, what am I learning out of this? So for me, and resilience is a most
Yes.
um it's so important, because at the end of the day, things will touch your core of life. Things
Yes.
will
Yes.
touch
You're
that
correct.
inner, that
Mm, mm,
foundation. And
mm.
so we need to really be resilient, and most especially never give up even on our dreams. Just imagine I gave up on my dreams, I will not be here helping the
Yes.
number of people that we are helping. And apropos helping people, I really wanted to talk again on this. We spoke that already, but I wanted to make people understand too. They will listen this after. We are having different kinds of people out there, and it's
Mhm.
so important that we know who we are so that we can be able to fulfill purpose. So if
Yes.
you're the bird, stay on your lane of being a bird, fly in the,
Yes.
because
Yes.
if you're in the bird and you want to live on on the earth or the soil or in water, you're going to die. So many of us have changed our positions, and that's why many of us are dying premature death in line
Mm.
of our purpose. And if you're the fish, stay in that ocean, that water, because if you come out of it, you're going to die. And
Mm.
if you're the tree, stay connected to the soil so that you can be able to do and produce the best fruits. So if we understand these things, we will not even bother who is doing what and who is not doing what, because you will be
Oh
concentrated to
yes. Oh yes.
live
Yes.
in that area where you are called to be fulfilled. And mind you, there is no small area and there is
Yes.
no big
Absolutely.
area. All the
Absolutely.
areas have a ministry and have a purpose. And I like
Yes.
what I read sometime book. I read a book that if you don't understand the purpose of a thing, you
Mm-hmm.
either destroy that thing or you misuse that thing. And
Yes.
most of us don't understand the purpose of our existence, and that's why we misuse even this life God has given us.
Yes, appreciation, appreciation, appreciate. Ask yourself always, I have this. How can I further this? How can I grow this? How can I grow
Mhm.
this? Whatever you have, you can grow it. Think
Yes,
about it. Bend the rules. Turn.
that's
If somebody else made a cup in this shape, make another cup because there is nothing totally original, but still there's
no.
something original about you
I
because you are unique. Yeah.
exactly, and that
So there's
takes me
nothing
also
totally original. We are doing almost the same, but we are doing it in different ways.
in different ways. And that's so, that takes me, I don't want to get into that conversation this morning with this, people are doing this, people are doing that. But Dr. Alexander Marfo said, the moment you're thinking of an idea, be
Yeah.
sure that 1,000 other people are thinking that same idea, same time like you.
Same second.
Same seconds like you. So the only difference is the boldness to implement it and the
Yeah.
innovation to put into action.
Yeah.
We're having our daddy in the house as well,
Yes.
Christopher, who says, you're both helping me to understand some fundamental things that you could not explain me if I had asked questions. Praise God. Thank you, Daddy, for being here. God bless you.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
appreciate you so much. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
so the time goes so quick. Do you have a
It
last
goes
word
too fast.
for our book clubs, for our love book lovers, or for those that are going to watch after this?
Yes, and I also thank them very much, everybody who was here. And that was, we were talking about the Code of the Extraordinary Mind. You can Google him. That is Vishen Lakhiani.
Mhm.
And he is the CEO and founder of Mind Valley. And we didn't even cover us. 10 minutes of what he has written is so
Exactly.
magnificent books.
I think we have to read again the book. I will
Yeah,
find time to read again the book. But at least for our listeners, they should
yeah,
go read that book. It's a mind-blowing book, and a book that will change your mindset, your way
yeah,
of thinking, and you will never be the same again. When I read that book, when you tell me you must drink water, I say, who gave that law that I must drink
yeah,
water?
yes.
Because he lived in a place where there was no water and he survived. So
Mm,
you start questioning, you become really really critical
yeah,
in what the way you go about, right? So
yes, yeah,
it's a very nice book, so we encourage all our readers to read. And we're going to also be reading next week again. We've not yet decided for next month which books to read. Ma'am Charity, I think you can propose us some books for next month, and then we're
yes,
going to put it on the Facebook and our media pages, so that all our book lovers can also get to read those books, because I think indeed readers are leaders, and the
mm,
more we read, the more better experiences we can share and we can have. Thank you
mm,
so much for today, and I want to thank all our um, book lovers. I appreciate you all who took up your time to come this early morning. I think early morning time is a good time
yes,
for meditation. So this is the time that we give you the possibility to really shake again your foundations and have a motivation for the week. And like we said, resilience is so important. Don't give up. Have the ability to transform all the challenges that you may be going through and
mm,
thinking it's the world that has come to an end. Make it an assignment. And I tell people, everything you've gone through are the assignments you're supposed to do.
yes,
And if you forget that aspect, you've made a whole lot of mistakes. I can't advise a woman who has gone through abuses and divorce, because I really do not understand it like she did. And so
Yeah.
if she did that and now takes that like her assignment, you can
Mm.
imagine how many women she's going to empower and transform, right?
Yes, it's
So
true.
all the pains we go through in life, I
Mhm.
see it like the assignments that we have to do in the
Exactly.
future. So if we do not understand it like that, we are
Mm.
going to be wasting so much precious time. So, ladies and gentlemen, book lovers, we meet again next week, same time, and we're going to let you know which books we are reading. God bless you, Ma'am Charity. We
Thank
stay
you very
again.
much.
Again now, so stay there, don't go away. Bye
Okay.
bye, the family outside there.
Bye, everybody. Bye bye.